Hello everyone, welcome to Homeschool, and we have successfully completed first chapter of class 11 biology. So in this video we will start the second chapter, that is the biological classification. We have already seen what is classification. In the previous chapter, we have studied what is classification and what are categories or how do we classify, on what basis we classify and everything. We have studied it. So what are the systems of classification that we'll be studying in this chapter? All right. So it is biological classification. Okay, so from the earlier times, many scientists have tried to put up few rules and regulations or few systems to classify various living organisms. But somehow, out of all those scientists who have given a try, we usually take up Aristotle as the first person to provide a system of classification. So the system which he provided to study the classification was, I'll write the names, Aristotle. He had given a two-system classification. I'll write it. It was a two-system classification, and the classifications were plants and animals. Right? So what was the basis of Aristotle's classification? He classified plants and animals on basis of very superficial characteristics, or what we call it as morphological characteristics. Just by looking into the basic morphological characteristics, he had divided living organisms into plants and animals. And then the plants were further divided into trees, shrubs and herbs. Right? The plants were further divided into trees, shrubs and herbs. The taller ones were called as trees, the medium ones were called as shrubs, and the smallest ones were called as the herbs. And then this another person, that is Linnaeus or Carolus Linnaeus. So the next classification system was given by Carolus Linnaeus, and the system which he gave was also the two-kingdom classification. I'll repeat again. The classification system which was given by Aristotle was also the two-kingdom or two-system classification, and the one which was given by Linnaeus, that was also a two-kingdom classification. But what was the difference between these two? Aristotle had considered only a few morphological characteristics or very superficial characteristics, whereas Linnaeus had considered a few other characteristics also along with the morphological characteristics. But however, we consider Linnaeus' system of classification as compared to the Aristotle one. So we don't take the Aristotle ones as the basis of classification. So we say that two-kingdom classification was given by Linnaeus. And what were the two kingdoms or two systems which was given by Linnaeus was? It was again Plantae and Animalia. Okay, so here also it was plants and animals. Even in case of Linnaeus also it was Plantae and Animalia. But the thing is, here more characters were considered as compared to the Aristotle. Aristotle had taken only superficial characteristics, but here along with the morphological characteristics, other characteristics were also taken into consideration. But this system of classification was not enough to classify all the living organisms across the globe, because plants are the one, or like when you see a organism, Seeing into morphological characteristics, if you feel it is a plant, it is being placed in the Plantae. Similarly, if you feel it is animal-like, then you have been placed that organism under the Animalia. There are certain organisms which share the characteristics of both plants as well as animals. So one example is Euglena. Example, Euglena. So Euglena is an organism which shares the characteristics of plant as well as animals. So what are the characteristics which are present in the Euglena as a plant? Is it is photosynthetic. It is capable of photosynthesis. So all the organisms which undergo photosynthesis can be placed under Plantae. Similarly, Animalia, it doesn't have cell wall, or it is without the cell wall. So does animals have cell wall? No, only plants have cell wall. So it is sharing the characteristics of both plants as well as animals. So now where we have to place the Euglena, whether we have to place it in the Plantae or Animalia, isn't it? So this remained out of a two kingdom classification. Likewise, fungi. Fungi also remains out of the two system classification. So such organisms did not have a place in the Linnaeus system of the classification. Hence, there was a need to update the system of classification, and thus one more scientist, that is Ernst Haeckel. Ernst Haeckel is a person who provided three kingdom classification. Provided three kingdom classification. So, which was the new kingdom which was joined or which was given by the Ernst Haeckel? So that is Protista. All right, Protista. Then it is Plantae and Animalia. All right. So I repeat again, since the Linnaeus system of classification or two kingdom classification given by Linnaeus had certain drawbacks, a new system of classification was accepted by the scientific community, and that new system of classification was given by Ernst Haeckel, which we call it as three kingdom classification. And the three kingdoms were Protista, Plantae and Animalia. However, Plantae and Animalia remained same as in case of the Linnaeus. So what is Protista then? So Protista majorly included unicellular organisms. All right, it majorly included unicellular organisms. See, as Euglena we were not able to place the Euglena into plants and animals there. So what they did, all such kind of unicellular organisms should be placed under one particular group. So that was the idea behind it, and they came up with the Protista, which included all the unicellular organisms. But now, how about fungi? So fungi, it is unicellular as well as it is multicellular. See, fungi, examples of fungi, let's take two examples here. One is yeast, other one is basidiomycetes, that is mushrooms. Mushrooms, yeast and mushrooms. Everyone knows what is mushroom, isn't it? So, yeast is a unicellular, mushroom is a multicellular. So now tell me whether we have to place, and both are fungi, isn't it? So whether we have to place this fungi under Plantae or Protista. If we place it under the Plantae, then yeast cannot be placed here because it is unicellular. If we place the fungi as a whole in the Protista, then you cannot place mushrooms here in the protista because protista is majorly for the unicellular organisms, and similarly you cannot place it in the animalia. That is because again animalia are also multicellular organisms, and here we have yeast which is unicellular organism. So we cannot place it in all the three kingdoms. You cannot place fungi in the protista or in the plantae or in the animalia. Then what happened? Again there was a need of an updated or much more advanced system of classification. Then comes another classification or another system of classification, that is the four kingdom classification. And that four kingdom classification was given by scientist Copeland. Copeland, he gave four system or four kingdom classification. Okay, four kingdom classification. So what were the four kingdoms here? The first kingdom which was given by Copeland was Monera. Alright, the first one was Monera, second one was Protista, and then Plantae, and then Animalia. Alright, so these three were present. Along with these three, a new kingdom, that is Monera, was added to the system of classification which was given by Copeland. So what does Monera consists of now? So Monera mainly consists of prokaryotes. It mainly consists of prokaryotes. And what does Protista consist of? Protista majorly consists of unicellular eukaryotes. Unicellular eukaryotes. So you have to be very clear here. So previously what Ernst Haeckel did here? Ernst Haeckel, he just placed the unicellular organisms in one group. So irrespective of whether it is a prokaryote or eukaryote, all the unicellular organisms were placed in the Protista previously in the Ernst Haeckel three kingdom classification. So now what's happening in case of the four kingdom classification? Here in the group of Monera or in the kingdom Monera, only the prokaryotes are being placed, and usually prokaryotes are unicellular only. So we are dividing the unicellular organisms into prokaryotes and eukaryotes for the first time. It was neither in case of Linnaeus nor in the case of Ernst Haeckel. We have not divided the prokaryotes and eukaryotes, isn't it? So for the first time in the four kingdom classification, the prokaryotes and eukaryotes are being separated. So anyways, prokaryotes are also unicellular only, so there is no need to mention. Whereas in case of eukaryotes can be unicellular or they can be multicellular. So I am mentioning this as unicellular eukaryotes. Okay. Then Plantae and Animalia, that is again same. So now we have three systems here. One given by Linnaeus, other one given by Ernst Haeckel, and then by the Copeland. But somehow, though these systems of classification were studied at times, but somehow there was not, people were not satisfied by the kingdoms of classification. So there was a need for one more advanced system of classification, which we call it as five kingdom classification. And that five kingdom classification was given by R.H. Whittaker. So we'll study that five kingdom classification in detail. But before moving to the five kingdom classification, I hope you have understood what is put up under which kingdom in these kingdoms of in these systems of classification. All right. So I'll repeat again. Aristotle, he gave two system classification or two kingdom classification, but that is not usually accepted worldwide. But however, Linnaeus gave one more two kingdom classification that has been accepted. That was Plantae and Animalia. And then And the next kingdom of classification was given by Ernst Haeckel, that is three kingdom classification, and that considered or that mainly contains Protista, Plantae, Animalia. Protista, it is including all the unicellular organisms, irrespective of whether it is a prokaryote or eukaryote. All the unicellular organisms are usually put up under this particular kingdom. Remember one thing here, usually the question may come out of this. In the three kingdom classification, all right, in the three kingdom classification, they might give a particular example for, let's take an example of yeast, all right. Yeast, they may ask you as, according to three kingdom classification, in which of the groups the yeast is being placed. So, usually since yeast is a eukaryote, what impression we usually have is, it might have been placed in the Protista, fine. Or it might be, since you may also have a confusion that yeast, since it is a unicellular organism, it might belong to prokaryote, so it might be placed in the Monera, all right. It should not be a confusion. The yeast is being placed under the fungi group, but if they ask it, if they mention it according to the three kingdom classification, it is very tricky. According to the three kingdom classification, it is placed under Protista. But if they don't mention, all right, if they don't mention any system of classification, then straightway the yeast is being put up under the group fungi. All right, hope you have understood. Anyways, after studying the five kingdom classification, you'll get more clarity. All right, so we will move on to the five kingdom classification, which is given by R.H. Whitaker. Many characteristics like cell structure, the body organization, mode of nutrition, mode of reproduction, likewise many important characteristics along with the morphology. I hope you understand this very clearly. Along with the morphology, few important characteristics of the organisms, like, and write it, like cell structure, body organization, mode of nutrition, and reproduction. All right. So, such kind of important characteristics were also taken into consideration along with the morphological characters. So, this particular five kingdom classification, which was given by R.H. Whitaker, okay, the five kingdom classification this makes more sense when compared to two kingdom, three kingdom or four kingdom classifications. It makes more sense. So, the one which is widely accepted at the present, in the present scenario, the system of classification which is followed is the five kingdom classification given by R.H. Whitaker. So, how exactly the classification was made? So, how did we come to a conclusion that we should have this five kingdom classification? So, I'll just make a flow chart here so that you'll have a better understanding. So, what they did is, or what R.H. Whitaker did was, he first chose the complexity of the cell as the character. The first character which they chose was complexity of the cell. Complexity of the cell. It means that whether a cell is a simple cell or a complex cell, or in other terms, I can put it as whether a cell is a prokaryotic cell or eukaryotic cell. So, we have two conditions here. One is prokaryotic, other one is eukaryotic. I'll write it bit this side, prokaryotic. All right. So, based on the complexity of cell, we have divided the organisms into prokaryotic and eukaryotic. So, what they did was all the prokaryotic organisms were placed under one particular kingdom called as Monera. They all were placed, all the prokaryotic were placed under a kingdom called as the Monera. So which one is left out? Eukaryotic is left out. Then to differentiate the organisms under eukaryotic, they considered one more characteristic, that is the complexity of the organisms. Or I'll take it this way. Complexity of organisms. All right. So previously we had taken complexity of the cell, that is whether it is a prokaryotic or eukaryotic. So here now we are taking the complexity of the organism, like whether it is a unicellular, or it is a multicellular. All right, whether it is a unicellular or multicellular. So all the unicellular, okay, I repeat, all the unicellular eukaryotic. See, this is eukaryotic unicellular, this is eukaryotic multicellular. So all the eukaryotic unicellular were placed under one particular kingdom called as Protista. Okay, so what is remaining? Now eukaryotic multicellular organisms are remaining. So now, based on one more characteristic, very important characteristic, that is the mode of nutrition. I'll take it as mode of nutrition. See, complexity of the cell is the first character. Complexity of the organism is the second character. Mode of nutrition is the third character. Fine. So, based on the mode of nutrition, eukaryotic multicellular organisms are divided into three groups. They are divided into three groups. What are those three groups? The first one is autotrophs. Autotrophs. Second one is saprophytes. And the third one is heterotrophs. First one is autotrophs, second one is saprophytic organisms, and the third one is heterotrophs. So what are autotrophs? Autotrophs are the organisms which prepare their own food. If they have to prepare their own food, then definitely they should be the photosynthesizing organisms, isn't it? And if we see a photosynthesizing organism, we usually have to consider it under the group Plantae or kingdom Plantae. So all the autotrophs, I repeat, all the autotrophs, that is eukaryotic multicellular autotrophs. Fine. Eukaryotic multicellular autotrophs are being put up under a kingdom called as Plantae. It is Plantae. Then saprophytes. Saprophytes are the organisms which usually feed or depend on the dead and decaying organic matter. So all the saprophytic organisms are being placed under one kingdom, that is called as fungi. It is called as fungi. And then third one, heterotrophs. Heterotrophs are the organisms which usually depend on the autotrophs or other organisms for their food. So all the heterotrophs were placed under the kingdom called as Animalia. So here, heterotrophs cannot prepare their own food. They have to depend on other organisms for their food. So all those are being grouped under the kingdom called as Animalia. So Animalia, what does they constitute of? Animalia have the organisms, that is eukaryotic multicellular heterotrophic organisms are being placed under the kingdom Animalia. Similarly, eukaryotic, saprophytic and multicellular organisms are placed under the kingdom Fungi. Then eukaryotic unicellular organisms have been placed under Protista. Eukaryotic, multicellular, autotrophic organisms have been placed under Plantae. And then all the prokaryotic are being placed under the Monera. So, first one, second one, third one, fourth one, and then fifth one. So these 5 kingdoms make up the R.H. Whitaker 5 kingdom classification system. Okay, so I hope you have understood these 5 kingdom. Anyways, there is one more 6 kingdom classification also, wherein this particular Monera group, alright, this Monera is being divided into 2 again, that is Archaebacteria and other one is Eubacteria. Archaebacteria and Eubacteria. So, write it correctly. This Monera is classified into 2 subkingdoms. One is Archaebacteria and one is Eubacteria. So, when we take this into consideration, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We will have the 6 kingdom classification, but somehow more than the 6 kingdom classification, the 5 kingdom classification is being accepted by the scientific community. So I hope you have understood this 5 kingdom classification. If you have understood this, then we'll move on to individual study of each kingdoms, right? And firstly, we will take up the Monera in the next part. I hope you have understood the systems of classifications, and in the next part we'll take up one by one and we'll start up with the Monera. Okay guys, so subscribe the video and watch all the classes seriously because they're really helpful, and from the exam point of view also you should be very careful about all these kingdoms and everything, and also do share with your friends and let them also learn the biology in a very easiest way.